At 13, my abusive dad kicked me out into the January cold half-naked saying, "You don't deserve to live," after believing my golden brother lies about me. Years later, karma hit them hard. Sup Reddit. My golden brother framed me at 13, watched me get beaten and kicked out into the snow, then went on with his perfect life. 13 years later, one desperate text from him was all I needed to burn it all down. I, 26 male. And although everything went down in my life at the age of 13, this had been my life since I could remember. My parents had me when they were 36. The accident doesn't even cover it. More like a biological middle finger from the universe. They already had 2 kids when I showed up, and neither of them wanted to start over with diapers and daycare. My brother Garrett was 4 years older than me. Golden child. Could do no wrong in dad's eyes. Played varsity baseball, got decent grades, had the right friends. Dad went to every single one of his games, bought him whatever gear he wanted, talked about him like he was destined for greatness. My sister Kendra was 2 years older than me. She took after mom, always playing victim when it suited her. She'd break something and blame me, steal money from mom's purse and say I did it, start fights and cry when dad came home so I'd get hit instead of her. Mom never stopped any of it. She was too busy making everything about her. If dad hit me, she'd cry about how stressful the house was and how nobody appreciated how hard she worked. If I complained about Kendra, she'd sigh and ask why I always caused problems. She had this way of turning herself into the victim of every situation, even ones that had nothing to do with her. The worst part? I never knew what would set dad off. Could be anything. One time I got a B on a math test, and he threw the paper at me, told me I was stupid. Another time I accidentally broke a glass washing dishes, and he made me stand outside in the cold for an hour. No coat, no shoes, just standing on the back porch while he watched TV like nothing was happening. My siblings just ignored it. I was just background noise in their perfect little lives. I had one person who gave a damn. Dad's father. My grandpa. Pop, I called him. He lived about 30 minutes away and came around maybe once a month. He'd see the marks on my arms, the way I flinched when someone moved too fast, how quiet I was compared to Garrett and Kendra. He never said anything directly, but I could tell he knew. He'd always make a point of talking to me, asking about school, bringing me books or little things he picked up. He was the only decent one in the family. Mom hated when he visited. She'd get tense, put on this fake smile, act like everything was perfect. Dad would be on better behavior too, like they were both afraid Pop would call them out. They never did anything obvious when he was there. Then Garrett messed up, and instead of owning it, he threw me under the bus so hard I ended up in the snow with nowhere to go. Dad collected vintage baseball cards. Not just any cards, the expensive ones. He had this binder full of cards from the 60s and 70s, some worth hundreds of dollars each. His pride and joy. He kept them in a locked cabinet in his office and only took them out to look at them or show off to his buddies. Garrett knew the combination. Dad had given it to him a few months back. Some bonding thing about trust and responsibility. Garrett was the golden child, so obviously he could be trusted with Dad's most prized possession. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I got home from school and the house was quiet. Mom was at work. Kendra was at a friend's place. Dad wouldn't be back for another 2 hours. Garrett was supposed to be at baseball practice. I went to my room and started on homework. About an hour later, I heard Garrett's door open, heard him moving around, then heard the front door slam. Looked out my window and saw him driving off fast. Dad got home around 6. I heard him go straight to his office like he always did after work. Then I heard the cabinet open. Then silence. Then the worst sound in the world. "Where are my cards?" His voice wasn't loud. It was quiet. That cold, dangerous quiet that meant someone was about to get destroyed. I stayed in my room, door closed, pretending I didn't exist. "Garrett!" Dad's voice boomed through the house. Then louder. "Garrett! Get down here right now!" Garrett must have gotten back while I wasn't paying attention, because I heard his door open and his footsteps on the stairs. I pressed my ear against my door to hear. "Yeah, Dad? Where are my cards?" "What cards?" "Don't play stupid with me." "My 1967 set. 3 of them are missing from the binder." Silence. I could picture Garrett's face. That moment where he realized he was caught. Then I heard the words that changed everything. "I didn't touch them." Must have been him. My stomach dropped. "What?" Dad's voice. "Your youngest. He's always in your office snooping around. I saw him in there last week." I opened my door and came out. "I didn't touch anything." Dad turned to look at me. His face was red, jaw clenched. "You calling your brother a liar?" "I'm saying I didn't take anything. I don't even know the combination." Garrett jumped in real quick. "Yeah, because you couldn't figure it out." You probably watched Dad open it. I didn't. Dad stepped toward me. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. So you're saying Garrett is? I looked at Garrett. He stared back at me with this blank expression, not even pretending to care that he was framing me. Yeah, I said. He's lying. Garrett's expression changed. He stepped forward. Say that again. You're lying. You took the cards and now you're blaming me. Garrett shoved me. Hard. I stumbled back into the wall. Stop, Dad said, but not to Garrett. To me. Stop making this worse. Garrett shoved me again. I shoved him back. We went at it right there in the hallway, fists swinging, both of us crashing into walls. Dad pulled us apart after maybe 10 seconds, threw me down on the floor. Where are they? Dad's voice was ice. I don't know. I didn't take them. He grabbed me by my shirt and dragged me to my room. Started tearing through my stuff. Threw books off my shelf, dumped out my drawers, checked under the mattress. Found nothing because there was nothing to find. But that didn't matter. Garrett said I did it, and Dad believed Garrett over me every single time. Mom came home in the middle of the search. Saw the chaos. Saw me on the floor with Dad looming over me. What's happening? Your son stole my cards, Dad said. Mom looked at me, then at Dad, then sighed this big dramatic sigh like I just ruined her day. Why do you always do this to us? Not, are you okay, or let's figure this out? Just making herself the victim of me getting accused of something I didn't do. I didn't take anything. Then who did? Mom's voice was sharp. Garrett. Stop lying, Garrett said from the doorway. Kendra got home around that time. Dad called her into the room. Did you see your brother in my office? Kendra looked at Garrett, then at me, then back at Dad. You could see her doing the calculation. Side with the golden child or the family punching bag. Yeah, she said. Last week. I saw him coming out of there. She'd been staying at a friend's house that entire week. But that didn't matter. She was backing Garrett's story, probably hoping to stay in Dad's good graces. 2 against 1. Both of them lying. Both of them throwing me to the wolves. Dad grabbed me by the arm and pulled me up. His grip was tight enough to bruise. You're going to tell me where those cards are. I don't know because I didn't take them. He backhanded me across the face. Hard. My head snapped to the side, and I tasted blood. Mom made a little gasp, but didn't say anything. Garrett and Kendra just watched. Tell me. I didn't do it. He hit me again. Then again. I stopped trying to defend myself. Just took it. What was the point? When he finally stopped, I was on the floor with my face throbbing and my ears ringing. Dad stood over me, breathing hard. You cost me thousands of dollars, he said. Those cards were worth more than you'll ever be. Then he said the thing that made me snap. I wish we'd never had you. Something broke inside me. I looked up at him. You shouldn't have had me if you hate me this much. The room went dead silent. Even Garrett and Kendra looked shocked. Dad's face went from red to purple. What did you say? I said you shouldn't have had me. You've made it pretty clear I'm a mistake you've been trying to ignore for 13 years. So yeah, you shouldn't have had me. He grabbed me, dragged me to the front door, opened it. It was January. Snow on the ground, temperature in the 20s. I was in a t-shirt and shorts, no coat, no shoes. Might as well have been half naked in that weather. Get out. You, what? You don't even deserve to live. You are not my son. Dad! He shoved me outside and slammed the door. I heard the lock click. I stood there on the front porch for maybe 30 seconds, too stunned to move. Then I heard Dad's voice through the door, yelling at Mom about something. Nobody was coming to let me back in. The cold hit fast. Within a minute, I was shivering. I banged on the door. Dad! Dad! Come on! It's freezing. Nothing. I kept banging, kept yelling. The neighbors had their lights on, but nobody came outside. They'd heard Dad yelling before. This was just another Tuesday night at our house. I gave up after 10 minutes. My fingers were going numb. I walked down the driveway in my socks, snow soaking through immediately. Made it to the gas station about half a mile away. This was back when gas stations still had payphones. The clerk gave me a weird look but didn't say anything when I used it. I called Pop. Hello? Pop, it's me. Hey kiddo. What's wrong? He could hear it in my voice. Dad kicked me out. I'm at the Shell station on Maple. Can you come get me? I'll be there in 25 minutes. Stay inside where it's warm. Pop showed up in 20 minutes. Took one look at me and his face went hard. What happened? I told him everything in the car. The cards, Garrett's lie, Kendra backing him up, Dad kicking me out. Pop didn't say much, just listened with his hands tight on the steering wheel. When we got to his house, he made me take a hot shower and gave me warm clothes. Then he called Dad. I couldn't hear Dad's side, but I heard Pop's. You kicked a 13-year-old out in the snow. I don't care what he supposedly did. He's staying with me. If you show up here, I'm calling the police and telling them everything. The hitting, the neglect, all of it. Try me. He hung up, looked at me. You're staying here. Permanently. What about? I'll handle it. Your mom will sign whatever I need her to sign. She won't want cops asking questions about how her son ended up sick from exposure. Plus, I know a family lawyer who owes me a favor. We'll file for emergency custody first, then permanent guardianship. With the documented abuse and what just happened, they won't fight it. Trust me. I didn't understand what he meant until the next day when I woke up with a fever. Turned out standing in the snow for 10 minutes, then walking half a mile in wet socks does bad things to your body. Pop took me to the doctor. I had a nasty cold and some mild exposure symptoms, but the doctor said it could have been way worse. Pop was pissed when he heard that. I spent 2 weeks in bed feeling like death. Pop took care of me the whole time. Brought me soup, made sure I took medicine, sat with me when the fever made me delirious. Mom came by once. Stood in the doorway looking uncomfortable while Pop glared at her. She signed some papers, asked if I was okay in this flat voice like she was reading from a script, then left. I never went back to that house. Living with Pop was different. Quiet. Nobody hit me. Nobody made me feel like I was a mistake. He didn't have much money, lived in a small 2-bedroom house on the edge of town, but it was stable. The first few months were weird. I kept expecting something bad to happen. Kept waiting for Pop to get tired of me and send me back. It took a while to understand he actually wanted me there. School was easier without the constant stress of home. My grades went from decent to good to excellent. Turns out when you're not living in survival mode, learning comes pretty easy. By freshman year of high school, I was pulling straight A's without even trying that hard. I worked too. Started washing dishes at a diner when I was 14. Lied about my age. Told them I was 16. They didn't ask questions. The manager liked me. Said I was reliable. Showed up on time. Didn't complain. Within 2 years, I was working the line during busy shifts. The money wasn't great, but it added up. Dad never reached out. No one did. Sophomore year, I joined the robotics club. Wasn't planning to, but my physics teacher kept bugging me about it. Said I had the right kind of brain for it. Figured why not? Turned out I loved it. Loved building things, solving problems, working with my hands. Our team made it to state championships that year. We didn't win, but we placed top 10, which was huge for our school. Junior year, I went all in on scholarship applications. Every single one I could find. Spent hours writing essays, filling out applications, getting recommendations. The responses started coming in spring. I got a few small ones. Then in April, I got the big one. Full ride to State University for engineering. Tuition, room, board, everything covered. I showed Pop the letter. He read it twice, then pulled me into a hug. Proud of you, kiddo. I graduated third in my class. Pop came to the ceremony. Sat in the front row, clapped louder than anyone when they called my name. My family didn't show. Didn't expect them to. College was a different world. Suddenly, I was surrounded by people who actually wanted to be there, who cared about learning, who had goals. I threw myself into mechanical engineering. The coursework was brutal, but I'd been preparing for brutal my whole life. I also kept working. Got a job in the university machine shop, spent summer breaks doing 12-hour shifts at a manufacturing plant. Miserable work, but the money was good. I was obsessed with building a financial cushion. Never wanted to be dependent on anyone again. Never wanted to be one bad break away from ending up back at that house. Graduated at 22 with a degree, 0 debt, and a solid chunk of savings. Got hired immediately by an aerospace company. Starting salary was $65,000. To a kid who grew up getting beat and sleeping in a closet-sized room, that was life-changing money. I moved to a different city for the job. Rented a decent apartment. Bought a used car with cash. Kept living like I was broke even though I wasn't anymore. For 3 years, I lived on maybe 40% of my income. Saved and invested the rest aggressively. At 25, I had enough for a down payment on a house. Found one in a quiet neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, decent yard. Needed some work, but nothing major. I put down a huge chunk, kept the mortgage payment lower than my old rent. The house was mine. Spent the first month fixing it up. Painted walls, updated fixtures, fixed the fence in the backyard. Made it look like an actual home instead of a rundown investment property. Then I called Pop. Hey kiddo, how's the new place? Good. Listen, I've got 3 bedrooms here and I'm only using 1. You should move in. Silence on the other end. Then, you sure? Yeah. You took me in when I had nothing. This is me paying that forward. Plus, your house is falling apart and you're too stubborn to admit it. He laughed. Fair enough. Pop moved in 2 weeks later. We converted one of the bedrooms into his space, Set him up with everything he needed. He tried to pay rent. I refused. Tried to cover utilities. I refused that too. You already paid, I told him. When you picked me up from that gas station and gave me a chance. We're even. We fell into an easy routine. I'd work during the day. He'd do light maintenance on the house and run errands. We'd have dinner together most nights. Nothing fancy, just normal meals and conversation. First time in my life I actually felt like I had a family. This went on for about a year. Best year of my life. Stable job, solid income, my own house, and the one person who'd ever given a damn living comfortably under my roof. Then Dad showed up. I got home from work on a Thursday and saw a car I didn't recognize in my driveway. Older sedan, kind of beat up. Had that feeling in my gut immediately, like trouble was coming. Pop was standing on the front porch looking tense. When I got closer, I saw why. Dad was there. He looked older. More gray hair, deeper lines on his face. Still had that same hard expression, though. That look that used to make me flinch when I was 13. Later, I'd find out he'd been sniffing around town asking questions. Got my address from public records. Property ownership's not hard to find if you know someone's name. Not anymore. Can I help you? I kept my voice flat. He looked me up and down like he was sizing up livestock. So you did all right for yourself. Nice house. What do you want? I came to check out my new place. I almost laughed. Your what? This house. I'm moving in. Lost my apartment last month and I need somewhere to stay. You've got the space and I'm your father. It's your responsibility to take care of me. You're not moving in. Don't be difficult. This house is too nice for just you anyway. You probably can't even afford it on your own. I'll help with expenses once I find work. I own this house and you're not stepping foot inside it. He waved that off like I was being dramatic. You wouldn't even know how to be successful if I hadn't raised you right. Everything you have is because I taught you discipline. The least you can do is give me a room. Pop made a noise that might have been a laugh or a cough. I just stared. Don't be selfish. I'm your father. You owe me that much. I don't owe you anything. His face hardened. Watch your tone. I don't care how old you are. You don't talk to me like that. Then leave my property before I make you leave. He stepped closer. Old habit, trying to intimidate me with his size. You think you're tough now? You're still that scared little kid who couldn't even look me in the eye. No. I'm the adult you made when you beat me for 13 years and threw me out in the snow. And I'm telling you to get off my porch, or I'll handle it the way you understand it. You wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for me raising you? He raised his voice. That actually made me laugh. Raising me? You beat me and threw me out when I was 13. Because you destroyed my baseball cards. $6,000 worth of collectibles. You cost me everything and now you owe me. You're living in this nice house because of the discipline I taught you. Time to pay back what you took from me. I didn't touch your cards. Garrett stole them. That's what you said then, and it was garbage then too. Always lying to get out of trouble. Well, now you're going to make it right. I'm moving in, and you're going to cover my expenses until I'm back on my feet. It's the least you can do after what you put me through. And I'm not offering. This conversation is over. Leave. You don't get to tell me what to do. Actually, I do. It's called property rights. This is my house. You're trespassing. Leave now, or I'm calling the police. He laughed. Mean and sharp. The police? For what? Trespassing. Harassment. I can file assault charges from when I was a kid if you want to make this interesting. Pop kept records. Didn't you, Pop? Pop nodded. Hospital visits. Photos of bruises. Dates and times. All of it. Dad's expression shifted. Not scared, but calculating. He was realizing this wasn't the helpless 13-year-old he remembered. You're making a mistake, he said. Family is supposed to help each other. You stopped being family when you kicked me out for something I didn't do. Now you're a stranger on my porch who won't leave. I'm going inside to get my phone. If you're still here when I come back, I'm dialing 911. Your choice. I turned and walked to the door. Heard him start to say something, but Pop cut him off. You heard him. Go. I went inside, grabbed my phone, came back out. He was still there, but he'd backed up a few steps. His car door was open. You're going to regret this, he said. No, I really won't. Here's how this goes. You leave now. You don't come back. You don't call. You don't show up at my work. If I see you anywhere near my property again, I'm filing a restraining order and pressing every charge I can think of. Pop's got enough documentation to make your life very difficult. Am I clear? His jaw was tight, hands in fists. For a second, I thought he might actually try something. Then he got in his car. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. If I see you again, you're going to jail. That's a promise. He drove off. Tires squealed a little. Real mature. Pop and I stood there for a minute watching the street. You think he'll come back? Pop asked. Maybe. Doesn't matter. If he does, I'll follow through. I'm done with him. He wasn't getting this house. He wasn't getting anything from me ever again. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. Then Garrett texted me. First message in 13 years. Hey, can we talk? About what? About everything. I messed up back then. I want to apologize for real. You already tried that once. I didn't care then either. I know. But things are different now. Dad's been on my case constantly. I'm trying to fix things with the family. Not my problem. Come on, man. We're brothers. That almost made me laugh. We've never been brothers. You threw me under the bus to save yourself and watched me get beat for it. Then you went on with your life while I got kicked out in the snow. Whatever you need, figure it out yourself. I put my phone down. Figured that was the end of it. But Garrett kept texting. Over the next few days, he sent a dozen messages. Some apologetic, some trying to guilt trip me, some just rambling about how hard things were for him. I ignored all of them. Then he sent one that caught my attention. Dad's losing it. I think he's going to do something crazy. I stared at that message for a minute. Part of me didn't care, but another part saw an opportunity. I thought about it for a bit. Garrett was scared. Dad was unstable. And somewhere in all that chaos, Garrett was probably worried the truth might come out. Time to push that button. Yeah, Pop mentioned something about that, I texted back. Said Dad's been telling people he thinks he was lied to back then. About the cards. I hit send and waited. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Garrett was typing and deleting. Finally, what do you mean? Pop ran into one of Dad's old friends at the hardware store. Guy said Dad's been going on and on about how his kids screwed him over. How someone lied to him about something important and he's been thinking about it for years. More typing. More deleting. That's just Dad being Dad. Maybe. Pop seemed to think it was serious, though. Said Dad kept mentioning the cards, kept saying he needed to figure out what really happened. I could picture Garrett's face right now. That panicked calculation he always did when things weren't going his way. Look, he texted, I need to tell you something. Go ahead. The dots appeared and disappeared for a solid 2 minutes. When the message finally came through, it was long. Okay, look, I need to be straight with you because Dad's spiraling and I need backup here. Remember those cards? Yeah, that was me. I took them to sell because I needed cash for something. Sold 2 of them, but the 67 mantle got damaged in my car before I could move it. I panicked and blamed you because Dad was already on the warpath, and you know how he gets. I read it once, then again, screenshot it immediately, sent it to my email, backed it up to cloud storage. Garrett was still typing. But here's the thing. Dad's been a psycho about this for years. Like legitimately obsessed. He brings it up whenever he's mad about anything. My son destroyed my cards. My life went downhill after that. Like, dude, they were just baseball cards. He's used that story as the reason for why everything in his life sucked. He acts like you burned down his house. And now he's apparently telling people he was lied to? The man's unhinged. Another message came through. I'm not saying what I did was right, but we both know Dad made everything worse than it needed to be. He's the one who beat you over some cardboard. He's the one who kicked a kid out in the snow. I made a mistake, but he's the problem here. And if he's really digging into this now, I need you to have my back. We can tell him together. Make him understand it was just a dumb kid mistake, and he needs to let it go. You know how he gets when it's just one person. But if we both talk to him, maybe he'll actually listen for once. One more message. Can you help me out here? I'm serious about making this right, but I can't deal with Dad alone. You've always been smarter about handling him anyway. I sat there looking at my phone. After all these years, he just handed it to me. Confessed in writing because he thought I'd help him manage Dad. Thought he could trash Dad, rewrite what happened, and get me to be his shield. Even better, he'd admitted to stealing the cards to sell them. Not an accident. Theft. And he still somehow made himself the victim in the story. This was almost too easy. Yeah, I texted back. I'll help. Garrett sent back a relieved message. Thank you, man. Seriously. I knew you'd understand. Dad's always been the real problem and we both know it. When do you want to talk to him? I didn't respond. Just opened a new text to Dad. Then I put my phone away and went to work. 2 hours later, Garrett sent another message. You still there? Then, so when do you want to meet up to talk to Dad? I'm thinking we should do it somewhere public so he can't blow up. Then, hey, seriously, I need to know the plan here. He sent 6 more messages over the next hour, getting more agitated each time, asking why I wasn't responding, saying he thought we were going to handle this together, saying he'd trusted me with the truth. You sent it to him, didn't you? You piece of garbage, I asked you for help. I trusted you, and you just sold me out. Do you have any idea what you just did to me? I almost laughed at that last one. He trusted me the same way I trusted him when I was 13, and he threw me under the bus. Funny how that works. I didn't check my phone until lunch. When I did, I had 23 missed calls. 12 from Garrett, 8 from Kendra, 3 from Mom. I listened to one voicemail from Garrett. He was yelling, panicking, begging me to tell Dad I was lying, or that I'd faked the screenshot somehow. Said Dad had beaten him so bad he could barely stand. Said Dad kicked him out and told him to never come back. 2 days later, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Family meeting, tonight, 7 p.m. Your mother's house. Be there. It was Dad. 10 minutes later, another text. This is not optional. I pulled up to Mom's house. Dad's truck was in the driveway. Garrett's car. Kendra's. I walked in without knocking. The whole family was in the living room. Mom on the couch looking nervous. Kendra next to her. Garrett in the armchair trying to look casual. And Dad, standing in the middle of the room with his laptop open on the coffee table. Everyone turned when I walked in. Garrett's face went white. What's he doing here? Dad looked at me. Something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Sit down. I stayed standing near the door, arms crossed. Mom started to say something, but Dad cut her off. Everyone shut up and listen. The room went silent. Dad showed Garrett's confession text on the screen. Garrett, Dad said, voice calm. Too calm. Want to explain this? Garrett shifted in his seat. Dad, I already told you he's lying. He faked that somehow. Stop. Garrett stopped. I made you show me the thread on your phone. Same number, same timestamps. No way out. Dad's jaw tightened. You sent this. You confessed. You lied to me for 13 years. The room was dead quiet. Kendra was staring at the floor. Mom had her hand over her mouth. Garrett tried again. I was scared, okay? I was a kid and I panicked and you were 17. Old enough to know better. Old enough to let your brother get beaten and thrown out for something you did. It was a mistake. You made a choice. Dad's voice was getting louder now. Every single day for 13 years, you made the choice to stay quiet. You went to college on my dime, got your car, got your apartment, all while he, Dad pointed at me, was working doubles at a diner and sleeping in his grandpa's spare room. Garrett looked at me, then back at Dad. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I was wrong. I should have. The slap was so fast I almost missed it. Dad's hand across Garrett's face. The sound of it echoed in the room like a gunshot. Garrett's head snapped to the side. He grabbed his face, stared at Dad in shock. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Dad stood over him. You watched me throw out the wrong kid and let it happen. Garrett's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Dad turned to Kendra. And you knew, the whole time. Kendra's eyes went wide. Dad, don't you dare. His hand was shaking, not from fear, from rage barely held back. You backed his story. And then you sat at my table for 13 years pretending you didn't. Kendra started crying. I was scared. Of what? Telling the truth? Mom tried to stand up. Please, let's just sit down. Mom sat. Dad looked around the room. At Garrett holding his face, at Kendra crying, at Mom frozen on the couch. Then he looked at me. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry for not believing you. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for 13 years of thinking you were the problem when it was me. His voice cracked. I threw out the wrong kid. I didn't say anything. Just stood there. Dad turned back to Garrett and Kendra. You're both out. I'm rewriting my will first thing tomorrow. Out of my house, out of my life. You want to rebuild from nothing like he did? Go ahead. See how it feels. Garrett stood up. Dad, please. Get out. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Garrett looked at me. Like I was supposed to save him. Like I owed him something. I stared back. Said nothing. He grabbed his jacket and walked out. Slammed the door behind him. Kendra was still crying on the couch. Daddy, please. You too. Out. She looked at Mom. Mom wouldn't look at her. Kendra got up and left. Door closed quieter this time. The room was silent except for Mom's quiet sobbing. Dad looked at me again. Can we talk? No. I know I don't deserve. You don't. You're right about that. I'm trying to make this right. You can't. What's done is done. You made your choice 13 years ago. This? I gestured around the room. This is just you dealing with the consequences. What can I do? Nothing. There's nothing you can do. I don't need your apology. I don't need your money. I don't need anything from you. I headed for the door. Enjoy your clean house. I walked out, got in my car, drove home. Pop was waiting up. How'd it go? Dad slapped Garrett in front of everyone, cut them both out of his will, kicked them out. Pop nodded slowly. Good. He stood up, stretched. Want some tea? Yeah, sure. Garrett showed up 2 days after that. I saw him from the window. He looked rough. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, like he'd been sleeping in his car. He had a duffel bag with him. He knocked on the door. I didn't answer. He knocked again. I know you're in there. Just let me in. We need to talk. Pop came out from the kitchen, saw Garrett through the window. Want me to handle it? No. I got this. I opened the door but left the security chain on. What? I need a place to stay. No. Come on, man. I'm your brother. You're the guy who ruined my childhood to save himself. That's it. I apologized. You confessed. That's not the same thing. I have nowhere else to go. That's your situation. I shut the door in his face, locked it, walked away. He pounded on the door for maybe 5 minutes, yelling about family and second chances and how I was heartless. Then his voice faded and I heard his car start up. Pop was watching from the kitchen doorway. Feel bad? No. He went back to the kitchen. Conversation over. The next week was a spam flood from all three of them. Same guilt, different fonts. Kendra tried one more time about a month later. Showed up at my work somehow. Waited in the parking lot until my shift ended. I saw her leaning against her car. She'd lost weight, looked stressed, probably struggling now that Dad had cut her off, and she actually had to support herself. I have a deal for you, she said, when I walked past her. I kept walking. Just hear me out. Dad wants to talk. He'll help with, I don't know, whatever you need. Down payment on a bigger place, new truck, whatever. Just sit down with him once. I stopped, turned around. You're trying to broker a reconciliation so you can get back in the will. Her face went red. That's not... Yeah, it is. You think if I forgive him, he'll soften up and let you back in. That's the play. We're family. No. You were insurance. You watched what happened to me and stayed quiet because it was safer. Now you're scrambling because the safety's gone. I got in my car. Good luck with that. She was still standing there when I drove off. Blocked her number that night. 2 weeks later, an envelope showed up at my house. No return address. Mom's handwriting. Inside was a Thanksgiving photo. Mom at one end, Garrett and Kendra on either side. Dad wasn't in it. Guess he'd already bailed on their pity holiday. And an empty chair. My old spot. Dead center in the frame like a prop. On the back, we miss you. There's always a place for you here. I stared at it for 10 seconds. Then trashed it and went back to the garage. Pop looked up when I came in. What was that? Mom trying again? Work? No. Good. Haven't heard a word since. Dad rewrote the will. Garrett and Kendra got nothing. Mom still mails birthday cards I don't open. I'm here, in a house I bought with money I earned, eating dinner with Pop and building whatever I want in my garage. They had 13 years to be family. They passed. Now they get the version of me that doesn't care. Pop glanced over his book. You good? Yeah, I'm good. And for once, I meant it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.